Hello there, my name is Pavlo Shterma, and now we'll unveil the top news of recent days. Ukraine created a military commandant's office in the territories of the Kursk region from where the Russian military fled. Major General Moskalyov has been appointed commandant. The commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, Alexander Syrsky, announced during this stuff.
Since the beginning of this day, defense forces in some directions have advanced by 0.5 to 1.5 kilometers. 3 enemy attacks have been repulsed. Offensive operations are continuing. In total, since the beginning of the operation on the territory of the Kursk region, our troops have advanced 35 kilometers with battles, 1,150 square kilometers and 82 settlements were taken under control. In general, the situation is under control.
Already this morning, the project I Want to Live of the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine reported that Russian soldiers surrendered in the Kursk region. This is the largest amount that has been at one time. Servicemen of the 4 and 88th Guards Motorized Rifle Regiment of the Russian Armed Forces and the Akhmat unit were captured. The special forces seized and cleared the sprawling, concreted and fortified company base with underground communication facilities for the personnel. Even before these events, the Verkhovna Rada Commissioner for Human Rights Dmitro Lubinets had a conversation with his Russian counterpart, if we can say that, Tatyana Moskalyova, regarding the exchange of prisoners. According to him, the conversation was initiated by the Russian side. Earlier, Volodymyr Zelensky said that during the operation of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region of the Russian Federation, hundreds of soldiers of the Russian army surrendered. He noted that the armed forces replenished the exchange fund and all prisoners of war are guaranteed human treatment. A deepening shortage of soldiers for its war in Ukraine is prompting Russia to hike recruitment bonuses to avoid a repeat of an unpopular mobilization. So far, there is little sign it's working. The military isn't getting enough new soldiers to keep pace with frontline losses. Regional officials are leaving more than a third of their recruitment quotas unfilled on average. A person familiar with the situation said to Bloomberg, Ukraine's stunning military incursion into Russia's western Kursk region, meeting little resistance, underscored challenges facing the Kremlin with the war deep in its third year. Russia's failure to defeat the Ukrainian attack so far and restore control of its border has exposed the lack of defensive reserves. Moscow has hundreds of thousands of troops on the front line in eastern and southern Ukraine, where it faces mountain casualties with fighting largely at stalemate. President Vladimir Putin ordered a mobilization of 300,000 reservists in September 2022, prompting a spike in anxiety about the war among Russians and an exodus of as many as a million people from the country. Anxious to avoid a repeat of that experience, the Kremlin has focused to appeal to patriotism and offers of cash to try to secure the 30,000 new soldiers it needs each month just to replenish the ranks. That's prompting the Kremlin drive to raise payments sharply from federal and regional authorities to persuade more people to join the army. Pressure to fill quotas is so intense that wealthy regions are luring people in poorer ones to sign contracts with them to qualify for bigger bonuses. The scale of Russian losses and inadequate replacement levels make it increasingly difficult to sustain the current strategy of slowly grinding out advances in Ukraine. According to a person with knowledge on the situation, there's no longer any discussion about seizing Kyiv and other cities because Russia doesn't have the manpower. Russian authorities are pushing financial incentives to extremes as recruitment falls off. In July, Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin pledged to pay 1.9 million rubles or $22,000 to volunteers who sign military contracts, in addition to 600,000 rubles already paid annually in monthly installments by the city government to supplement wages and bonuses offered by the Defense Ministry. In total, according to the mayor, new recruits stood to make 5.2 million rubles in the first year, assuming they survived. About 3 times the average annual salary in the capital of Russia last year. The military's demand for manpower has already fueled an accelerating salary race with business as labor shortages worsen Russia's overheating economy. That pressure is growing as bonus payments ratchet up to try to lure even more men to sign up. Russia's overheat economy, fueled by massive Kremlin spending on its invasion of Ukraine, may be about to cool sharply amid mounting constraints on key sectors that have bolstered growth until now. Labor resources are practically exhausted amid fierce competition for recruits between the military and business that's also likely to limit further expansion of defense-related industries. The construction and banking sectors are no longer shielded from the impact of very high interest rates now that most state-subsidized mortgage programs were wound up last month. The government massively increased spending in the wake of the February 2022 invasion, pouring money into the military and defense industries and acting to cushion domestic business against the impact of sanctions imposed by the US and the European Union. That caused the economy to overheat to a degree unseen since before the 2008 global financial crisis, according to Bank of Russia Governor Elvira Nabiulina. In response to the huge surge in domestic demand, the central bank last month hiked the key interest rate by 200 basis points to 18%, the highest since the early weeks of the war, to counter risks of stagflation as price growth continued to accelerate. Businesses now have a shortage of more than 2 million workers. According to the Federal Statistics Service, the Bank of Russia shut down its own fleet of armored cash collection vehicles because so many of the employees switched to working in defense factories. Demands from the military for new recruits to join the war continue to add to labor pressures, particularly as government officials are sharply increasing recruitment bonuses for new volunteers to replenish the army's ranks. And that concludes our video for now. Thank you for watching. Stay updated, comment, like and subscribe to our UATV English channel for even more news from Ukraine and not only. It is your support that really matters for us. Goodbye.